Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. This is Farooqi, and in today's session, we'll be discussing about web scraping. So, everyone, are you able to see my screen? What file?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'll walk you through some steps that are required, what all code you need to type, and what it means, and then we'll also see the end result from there on. So, basically, what is web scraping? So it simply refers to extraction of data from a website collected and exported to user format. So what happens is some websites can contain large amount of data like stock prices, valuable details, product details, statistics, etc. So if you want to access this information, you either have to use whatever format the website uses or copy and paste the information manually. So this could be tedious task when you want to extract a lot of information. So here's where web scraping can help you. And one more thing is if you want to, access the website and that particular servers doesn't have an API, then you can go ahead and use something like this. Okay. So one thing you have to keep in mind is we can't scrape all the websites. So you need to make sure that the website you want to scrape allows you to do web scraping. So that is what here it is, that is web scraping legal? So talking about web scraping is legal or not, some websites allow and some don't. So if you want to know which websites allow web scraping or not, you just have to append /robot.txt to the URL that you want to scrape, and then you'll get to know that whether you are able to scrape it or not. So the next is why Python is good for scraping. So we all know the reasons why Python is good for scraping. It's easy to use, large collection of libraries it has, and the syntax is very easy to understand, and it has a rich community. So now we'll see what are the basic steps to follow in order to perform web scraping. So the first is you have to find the URL that you want to scrape. Next is you inspect the page, basically understand the website, and find what data you want to extract. Suppose if you are scraping an Amazon website, then you want to know that what exactly you want to scrape, either the product details or customer reviews or things like that. Then you write the code, then you run the code and extract the data and store the data in the required format. Next is what are the libraries used for web scraping. So Python has various applications that are different. There are different libraries for different purposes. For example, Selenium, it is used for web testing library. It is used to automate browser activities. This is something which we are not going to discuss in today's session because it is used for web testing. So in today's session, we'll be discussing about Beautiful Soup, which is a Python package for parsing HTML and XML documents. So next is Pandas. It is a library used for data manipulation and data analysis. We all know we are familiar with Pandas. So next is how scrapers work. So web scrapers work. So basically this web scraping requires two parts, which is crawler and scraper. So crawler is an AI algorithm that browses the web to search for the particular data, like whatever data you want to search, that will be done by the crawler. And scraper is the tool which is used to extract the data in HTML code. All right. So the next is why we are using Python as web scraping. It's because in Python, especially for web scraping, we are having some special frameworks like Scrapy, Beautiful Soup. These are specially made for web scraping. That is the reason we are using Python. Next is what is web scraping used for? So it is used for price monitoring. Like I told you, we can use it like a price tracker, market research, news monitoring, sentiment analysis, and email marketing. So these are some of the applications where web scraping is used. Now let us see the URL. So this is the website. We are going to scrape this Itversity, which is an e-learning website, to extract the contents, URLs, and perform aggregator function on top of it. Now I'll show you what is the website that we are going to scrape. So this is the website that we are going to scrape in this session, Mastering Python. So this is the main page. This is the base URL, and these are my first level URLs. That means basically this is an e-learning website. here I want to know what are the topics covered in this website. So these are called, this is my main page. These are my first level URLs. And when I click here, I get this getting system details, overview, and all of that. This is my second level URLs. So basically, we are going to scrape all these data and perform some functions on top of it. So let's get into our Jupyter Notebook. As you can see, my Jupyter Notebook is opened up. And so these are the two basic requirements for web scraping is we have to install Beautiful Soup. So I'm giving pip install Beautiful Soup. As I told, it is a Python library for parsing HTML and XML documents. So you just need to install this. Because I've already installed, it is giving me a requirement already satisfied. Then we have to install Pip Install Request. So basically, request is a Python module that you can use to send all kind of HTTP requests. So basically, with the help of this request, we'll be able to send the request to the servers. I mean, basically, we'll be able to send the request. Next is we have to import some libraries, Beautiful Soup, Pandas, and Request. So in web scraping, we have three components. First is web crawling, next is parse and transform, and third is store. So in web crawling is nothing but navigating to the target website by making HTTP request, and we have to download the response ticket. Basically, the website which you are targeting here, this is the website which we are going to scrape now, python.itversity.com. So this I have stored in this URL. So this is called crawling. Okay. The next is what I'm using from request package. I'm using get method and I'm passing the URL and saving in this variable. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm requesting to get, by using this method, I'm requesting to get the data and store it in this variable, in Python page variable. So I'm requesting it, and what it will do is it will send you back the response, whether it is yes or no, whether it can fetch you, whether it can send you the data or not in the form of this response. So now I'm checking what is inside this Python page. I'm trying to check the response. So the response what I got is 200. That means we are good to go. We got a positive response. This was a successful execution. Suppose if we used to get 404, that means we used to get an error. So this is a completely different topic, which is called the status codes, which we will be discussing in our next session. When I will discuss about JSON and APIs, there I'll explain you in detail what are status codes. So for now, you just understand that response 200 is nothing but it's a successful execution. That means we can scrape the website. If you get 404 here, that means we cannot go further. Okay, so that's all. So next is parse and transform. Now, parse is nothing but data parsing is the process of taking data in one format and transforming it to the another format. Now, next is we'll create an instance for Beautiful Soup. Now that we can go ahead with the web scraping, what I'm doing is I'm creating an instance for Beautiful Soup here, and I'm passing this Python page, this one here, using HTML parser, because Beautiful Soup is an HTML parser, and I'm storing this data, this parsed data, in this soup variable. Now let's check what do we have inside the soup variable. Now you can see here we have all this HTML code which is passed with the help of this Beautiful Soup. We are having all this data in this soup variable. Now next is I want to view what is inside that. If I want to see what is inside that data, I'll use get underscore text method. Basically, this is used to view the parsed object here. This is just one type of method over here. Next is you can also use title. If you want to know what is a title, you can use soup.title. So it will give you the title. The same goes with here also. If you don't want the title tags, you just give soup.title.string. And if you give soup.p, it will give you this paragraph in this way. And if you give soup.a, it will give you the links over here. Then I'm using find all function, which will give me all the links here, which is present in the soup variable here. Next is, this is the same. Next is, now I want to filter the content. Now I want to find the main content. So what I'll do is I'll use find function and I'll pass the ID here and I'll ask to get me the text over here. So basically, this is my This is my main content, mastering Python, about Python. So what I'm doing is I'm passing the ID and I'm asking to give me the text. So it will give me this text. Next is the same way. I'm taking this navigation variable and asking to find soup.find. I'm using this function and I'm passing the ID. And inside this navigation, I have all my main content over here. This navigation, all my links here. This overview of Windows, you can see overview of Windows, setup Ubuntu, VM on GCP. All this is inside my navigation now. Next is now I want to find my the same way. If I use find all function and pass the ID, I'm getting the data right over here, just removing this unnecessary tags and all this. We exactly got this href. Both are same, it's just that these unnecessary things are removed here. That's it. Okay, so the next is, this is my main content. Now I want to fetch my first level URLs here, which is overview of Windows, setup Ubuntu, setup Postgres database, etc. So what I'm doing here is I'm passing an empty list called first level URLs, and I'm using a for loop here. I'm using the for loop in find all function. Sorry, this navigation.find all. So basically what I'm doing is inside this navigation function, I'm passing this class reference internal. What we have to do is, this is your page, right? You just have to right click and click on view page source. So this will give you an HTML document right over here. And then whatever you want to search ID, you have to search like this. Then you can easily make out what is the data that you want to extract with the help of these IDs here. Okay, so I'm passing this class reference internals. This is what exactly I'm talking about. This is a class reference internals. Next, sorry. Okay. So next I'm saying that if the hyperlink is not equal to hashtag, one second. Yeah, sorry. So if I'm saying that if my hyperlink is not equal to hashtag, append all those links in this variable. First level URLs dot append the links right over here. So it will enter here and it will check class reference internal. It will check here and it will check for the tags over here. If it's not an hashtag, then this link will be appended in this variable here. So if I run this and execute, I see here in my first level URLs, you can see that I'm having all these URLs here. Okay, so now we successfully fetch those URLs. Now I got all these first level URLs. Now I want to fetch these second level URLs here, which is getting system details, managing Windows, etc. So what I'll do is I'll pass again an empty list, which is all URLs, and I'll take this first level URL. I'll take this first level URLs. Then I'll create a variable called URL, which will be having, I'm using a format function, Python string format function. I'm saying that Python base URL and first level URL. Okay, this is Python base, this is first level. So that is stored inside this URL. Now what I'm saying is all URLs dot append the URL. This URL will be appended in this all URLs. Okay, basically this is the main page here. This is the all URL, this base and this first level. That was a base. This is the first level. Now this will be stored in this all URLs. Now what I want to do is now I want to fetch this data. So what I'll do is I'll request to get the data of this particular URL and I'll save it in the variable called page. All right. So now this page variable will have this data. Okay. So what we will do is, again, we'll create another instance of Beautiful Soup. Okay. And I'll ask whatever the data is here, just give me that content using HTML parser. All right. So, and I'll save that parsed data inside this variable again, soup. Okay. So now I'm having parsed data inside this soup variable. Now what I'll do, I have one more variable called current navigation. So what I'll do is I'll pass this find function and this ID over here. Okay. It's right here. You can see bd docs nav, and I'll have all this data inside this current navigation. This is my current navigation. Next, what I'll do is current links, my current hyperlinks. So I'll take this current navigation and I'll find my, I'll pass this ID, this current active ID, which is, should be here. Yeah, this one, this current active ID. Okay. Then what I'll say is for second level href in current links, in my current links, this links, I'll find all the class reference internals. Basically, it's here. Inside this, I'm trying to loop through all this. I'm trying to loop through all this second level URLs here. So what I'll do is I'll append using the join function. I'll append my first URL and second URL separated with a slash. I'll just run this. Okay. This happened. Object has no attribute. Fine. Okay.
Can you check previous where you find all is with underscore?
Yeah, it's right here. Find all, find underscore all, and here it's find underscore all. No, what is the, yeah, an object has no attribute. Find all. Actually, let me just
Go to the error.
sorry.
Execute.
Yes. One second.
Remove this 21.
Sorry.
Remove that cell. Execute this. Then execute the next one.
This was I think this is something.
Now it's good.
Yeah.
Like, click on this and under cell no run all below. No cell. Run all below.
Yeah, so yeah, over here. So yeah, till here we were clear. So for second level URL, what I'm doing is I think I showed you class reference internal. Yeah, so current reference internal. So all these second level URLs will be printed, and I'm appending all those links in all URLs with the help of this slash. Next, when I click all the URLs, I'm getting all the URLs, the base URLs and the second level URLs. I'm getting all this overview of Windows, getting system details, all this here in the website. Overview, getting system details, until the folders and files, then the setup Ubuntu, then I'm getting all the setup Jupyter Lab, signing for GCP, setup all this, signing for GCP and setup. So I got all the URLs, my first level and second level URLs. So next is, this is all the code broken down. Next is I'm using this time command, which is a magic command. It's a part of IPython. It prints the wall time for the entire cell. So basically what I'm doing is, now that I got all the cells, now that I got all the links, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fetch the content inside those links. So what I'll do, I'm passing an empty list over here. Okay, URL and content list. And I'm saying I'm looping through for content URL in all URLs. Basically in all these URLs, what I'm doing is I'm requesting to get the content URL and saving those content in content page. Then I'm creating an instance for Beautiful Soup and asking to get me the content of this content page using the HTML parser and saving this content soup basically. Then what I'm doing with this parsed data, now whatever data is inside there is a parsed data. I'm using the find function, passing the same ID and asking to get the text using get_text method. So what I'll do is URL and content list, and I'm appending this content URL and content text. So basically the content URL and the content text will be appended in this list. So if you see here,
Oh, in 45 cell no remove that comment. 47.
47.
Remove that comment.
That's because of the comment.
Now execute.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So it's taking too long. So basically in this URL and content list, these both will be appended. So in this content URL, we'll be having our base level URL, first level URL, and second level URL in this one. And in the context, in the content underscore text, we'll be having text of the second level URL. I don't know what's wrong with this. It's taking too long. Any idea, Vignesh? Why is it taking too long?
Yeah. Like it will take some time to execute the command. Right?
Like, It's taking more than the usual time. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, it is taking more time. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think to calculate this wall time. So it took 6 seconds for this to run. Because this is called as magic command. This will tell you the execution time taken for this piece of code. So basically here in the content URL, see we are having the base URL, first level URL, and then the second level URL. And in the content text, we'll be having the text. Next is URL. So basically these two we are combining in this content URL and content list. So if I see this URL and content list, it will give me all the URLs and all the content. So I'll just view the top 5 rows in the list. So this is the one. This is our main base URL. This is my first level URL and my content here. So next is what I'm doing is iterating a list to view all URLs and length of the contents. This is second, this is the first one. So here what I'm doing is I'm looping through for URL in URL and content list, basically all these, and for the starting 10 rows. And I'm asking to print the URL and the length of the level 1. So this is my URL and this is my length of the content, just 233. Next is, now if I see the list type, the type here is list. Now what I'll do is all these data, whatever I have here, I'm trying to convert into a data frame. So what I'll do is I'll create a data frame and I'll take the same data, URL and content list, whatever is inside this thing, I'll create a data frame out of it. So I'll take the name of the data frame is URL and content data frame, and I'll take this data frame function from Pandas. So what I'll do is, this is the content which you want to pass, and then I'm passing the column names is URL and content. This is a list of column names. Then this is how our data frame looks like. It is having 2 columns, which one is URL and one is content. So this is the URL, first one, and this is the content inside it, in it. Next is, I want to check the top 5 records. You can use head function. If you want to check the tail, last 5 records, you use the tail function. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new column name as content length, and so basically I'm adding one more column which is called as content length to this data frame. And what I'm doing is URL and content data frame on the content column, and I'm asking to find the length function. So basically it is giving me URL, content, and your content length column, and it will give you the length of this content. Okay, so this is the new column name added right over here, and this will give me the length of this content here. Okay, so now this is our data frame having 3 columns. So again, checking this. Now what I'll do is I'll create one more column here. Now that we had 3 columns here, URL, content, and content length, I'm going to add one more column name to this existing data frame as word count. And what it will do is it will count the words for me. So URL and content data frame on this content column, and I'm asking to split the words on the spaces, based on spaces, and I'm asking to count the length. Okay. So if I check my data frame here, it's giving me URL, content length, and word count. So basically it will give me the word count based on the spaces there. So this is the word count I got, 2573 for each and every URL over here. Next is I'll use sort function, and I'll try to sort my word count based on ascending order. So I'm using here URL and content data frame, and I'll use sort values on the word count column. So it will sort the word count column for me. Next is I'm performing a query operation on what I'm doing is I'm looping through in the URL and content data frame. I'm using a query and asking that wherever the word count is less than 30, just pass me all those URLs. So basically it is printing me out all those URLs whose word count is less than 30. So these are all my links which are less than 30. All right. So the same way I'm saying here, it has printed me all the URLs, and in this it is printing me the content here. So these are all the which is having less than 30. These are all the contents which are having word count as less than 30. Next is I'm creating a user-defined function. I'm creating a user-defined function here, which will help me to get the unique count. So what basically I'm doing is I'm using this def keyword. I'm creating a function here. I'm giving the function name here and asking to return the length of set of codes. Basically, this set is a data type which will return the unique values here. So that is the reason I'm using set. It's a data type here. So what I'll do is now this is our original data frame, right? Having only 1, 2, 3, 4 columns here, URL, content, and all word count, content, unit. So what I'm doing, I created a function here. Now I'll apply this function, whatever I've just created, URL and content data frame. I'm using this unique word count, this function, okay, this function here, and I'm applying it on this function. And the function is lambda. I'm using lambda as a function, and on unique get underscore unique underscore count on the content column here, and splitting it on the basis of spaces here basically. So this content, I'm applying this function, whatever the user defined function, applying on this column on content on the basis of spaces here. Okay, so what it will do, I'll check over here. So it will give me the, one second. So yeah, so this will give me the unique word count. Previously we were having only till the word count. Now it is giving me unique word count. So it will give me what is a unique word count here. It's 20 here, 56 here, and so on. So this is basically our data frame. So what I want to do is, now that I have all the data, I have all my links here, I have my content and all these things. Now what I want to do is I want to store it somewhere. So what I do is I export this data frame from Pandas into a CSV file. So if you want to save it in a CSV format, what do I do is, this is my data frame, and you just have to write .to underscore CSV and give any file name. So it will be stored in this file under this file name. So if you want to store it in Excel format, you just have to write .to underscore Excel. I have to just give the name, and then this will be saved in CSV or Excel format. So you can see we have a file name called itvocity.csv and itvocity.xls. So this is how you store the data frame in this type of format. So this is how this was a website initially, and we managed to extract all the links and all the sublinks or second level URLs and the data, and we have extracted in this way in the data frame format, and then from this data frame format we have managed to save in this Excel and CSV files. So this is how basically web scraping is done, and this is how you store in this format. So that's all for web scraping. So I hope you understood, just got an idea of what is web scraping and how it works, what it is used for.
Spandana, Zaira, others, any questions?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to tell you, I think I've told you about the status codes, what we get. We'll be discussing those in our next session, probably. Yeah, this will be discussing about in our next session when we discuss APIs and JSONs. So was it clear? Did you get an idea what is web scraping and how it works?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the difference between crawler and scraper?
So basically, crawler is nothing but if you want to navigate to a website, here it is there. Basically, crawler is when you want to navigate to a website. That's on a browser, it will search the file what you want to search. If you want to search Amazon, if you want to search for Amazon website, then it will search for Amazon website. That is crawler. But scraper is something where you want to extract the data. Suppose you have visited Amazon's page and you want to search for the particular laptop model. Suppose you're searching for HP laptop models, then scraper will come into picture. It will help you search that particular model for Lenovo laptops. And crawler is something, it will search Amazon website for you. That is crawler. Clear?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.